Rich Shea here, unboxing Teotihuacan, City of the Gods by Daniele Tascini, which I probably pronounced wrong after all the trouble I went to pronounce the game right. It's by NSKN Games. It's very popular right now. I get a copy. I've played it a couple of times and I can understand why it's popular. It's a lot of fun. Let's open it up. It's also gorgeous when it's set up. Box fart. Alright, so you can see the components, but you know what, I'm going to drag out the rule book first and go over that a little bit. Okay. There's components, there's a lot. And of course this is laid out like every Euro now with that light tan background and black text, fortunately, a lot of browns. So there's the main board. Players have boards. Buildings, the time markers, temple bonus, some royal tiles, starting tiles, which are your initial setup for resources and where your player pieces start, some technologies called alchemy, I think, in the game, some discovery, those are bonus tiles and effects you collect, decoration tiles, which go on top of the pyramid tiles, where you build a pyramid in the middle of the board. Player order, each player has dice. You start with 3, you might get a 4th one, probably will. A bunch of wooden discs to mark technology you've developed and where you are on various tracks. Player color marker so you can remember which tokens are yours. Cocoa, which is a currency you use. You have to feed your workers a la Agricola every once in a while. Bunch of resources, wood, stone, and gold. Multiplier tokens in case you run out of resources. So when you first play it, you can use the board as printed, but 6 of the 8 areas on the board can have variable order setup, and since you move your dice around the board with the numbers representing their power/maturity, different setups will result in different games. So the placement of other random tiles as you set up some bonuses on a non-moving space, how the tech tree works in the game for everyone. You advance on 3 tracks for the temple tracks with various bonuses, but there are some endgame bonuses. If you reach the top, they vary. There's a bunch of setups, these buildings that will mark where the dead go. Then decoration tiles, which will go on top of the pyramid tiles, which will be out. Both of them come out in random order. There's some directions on how you set up the initial pyramid for 2, 3, or 4 players. Then player setup, there's a first time you play player setup. This is your first game. And they're very specific about how they set it up, but real gamers, and after you're experienced, you'll have some tiles that you collect 2 of. You get 4. You keep 2, and there you're starting resources and potential starting positions for the 3 dice you start with. And players take turns. You move one of your dice, take an action on the space it moves to, which may involve costs if other people are there, etc., etc. And you can gather resources, you can spend resources, build a pyramid, decorate the pyramid, take some special actions. And after a number of things have happened, the end of the round occurs and there's scoring. There's 3 rounds, or the eclipses, and they cause scoring each time, slightly different, and then there's some endgame scoring and we're done. The way the eclipses happen is you move forward once for each round, but you also move forward each time. As your dice do things, they get promoted. Starting at 1, but once you go to 6, you're promoted to death. And then you ascend and are replaced with a new 1 die, but some other things happen. But that also advances the game along. There's a draft variant. There's solo rules. There's a very complicated 1, 2, 3, almost 4 pages of rules for the bot. Some appendix explaining the royal technology, discovery, and starting tiles, and the temple bonus tiles and how they work. There is a lot going on in this game. It's a lot of fun. Let's look at some of the components here. The first set, these are wooden blocks. They're the same on one side. Let's see, let's get up close. And then the other side is where you're going to try to match them up. Now, some of the blocks, not many, but a lot, have colored symbols. The symbols correspond to the temple tracks, but mostly you're trying to place these tiles to match the symbols underneath them as you build a pyramid, following some rules for having it be a step pyramid. And the game then could be triggered if somebody finishes the I think it's the third layer, maybe the fourth. Can also trigger the end of the game. Otherwise, it's 3 eclipse periods. So these will be available, and you'll have a little puzzle matching them up to your benefit. They're pretty chunky. They're light wood. They're pretty. They're well done, adds to the feel of the game. There are resources. These are the stone resources. There are player markers. You could potentially use them to mark all 6 technologies, 3 temple tracks, and let's see where you're building on the pyramid thing, and a couple of other places where you just want to track things. And let's just dump out the rest. I don't think anybody cares about the gel packs. Wooden resources. Gold resources. You can see they're not square. Unfortunately, they're in the same color as the yellow user and the red player, the black player, and we saw the blue player play in a bright light. You'll want to anyways. There are a lot of details. Little houses that you build for the dead, and the 2 markers. The white one, the sun marker, is sort of the turn marker. The black one is the end of phase marker, which is set differently based on which eclipse it is and how many players there are. There's a bunch of bags. The player dice, you have 4. The players start with 3, and then there's a 4th one you can get. And now the cardboard. So, believe it or not, these are the giant variable board placement things. This is a production one. Depending on the number of dice you have, 1, 2, or 3, and the lowest value of the dice that you are using, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you produce wood and or cocoa. That's the cocoa symbol. Okay. This is also indicates how many dice get promoted. Promoted means you just change the number up 1, and of course if 5 goes to 6, then you go away. There's another alternative, which is you can lock a die down here and either take a temple bump, or there'll be a different action you can take here, or you can pay cocoa, which is expensive, but everything costs cocoa, and do both of them. So the production ones all have similar things. That's for making wood, that's for making stone. These are the tokens you collect with masks. Sets of different masks are worth points during each eclipse. The masks have a cost, and they have a rarity number too. That little tiny number, let's bring it up here, is how many of this identical mask there are in the game. You can see there's 3. Here's 2 more things that you collect. They aren't all masks. Some of them do things in the game. This is the symbol for get some resources, not cocoa. And that's the symbol for victory points. This is the tech track. There'll be 6 techs out, slightly different orders, some of which you can get with 1 die, some of which require either 2 die or a 4 and a 5. And when you get a tech, you get a bump on the temple track. Lots of things get you bumps on temple tracks. That's a bump on a temple track. Victory points, gold, cocoa. So you're getting lots of random resources, trying to collect them. Because on this one, this is where you place the white buildings, depending on the number of workers, 1, 2, or 3. You get to place it, and you build this way. The first one gets the most points, but as it gets filled up, they're less valuable in terms of points. And it always costs 2 wood, and so the number of workers determines which of these rows you can place it in. This is putting the decorations on the temple. It costs 3 gold, but you get a discount if you have more workers working on it. and you get 3 victory points when you place the decoration. Like the other things, if you can match up the symbols correctly, you might also get a temple bump and some extra or at least some points for matching the symbols. Here's more extra actions. These are resources. These are temple bumps. That's a pay but get any temple bump. These are specific temple bumps. Here's some 5 cocoa coins. These are at the beginning of the game, you'll get some of these. There's different ways to do it. Get dealt 4 and keep 2. There's a draft variant where you get like a bump or a promoted person or tech, and then you get some resources and maybe some more resources. And then your 3 dice will start on spaces that are on here. The way it works, as near as I can tell, is you won't get just 2 different spaces. You'll always have at least 3 to choose from. These are the techs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 6 of them are in play. These are special bonuses in 1 space. There'll be 3 of them in the game that are available to lock dice onto. These are for the solitaire version. This is some super special bonus. Don't pay cocoa when you have to. I've been told that's really powerful, and I think it is. Okay. More 5 cocoa, more tech, more solitaire, more temple bonus things, more starting actions. Here's a sheet with the player color reminder, the multipliers, the turn order, because it might not be going around the table. The turn order can vary. The more multipliers. These are these are the decoration tiles that are available. They have to be placed with the arrow pointing towards the top of the pyramid. So matching them up against things is harder because they have to be specific. Single cocoa, beans, and a promo for Dice Settlers. Anybody getting Dice Settlers? That's an interesting game. Not anywhere near, not this game. Dice Settlers is a fast, lighter game. There's nothing wrong with it. So the way the map board comes, I should pan out and give you the big view. It comes printed with the default plain order that you can use, and it's suggested for the first game. But these areas get overlaid by other ones. The board is it's big. So you sections by sections, see how much. Wow, yeah, we're gonna have to pan way out and talk about this. So let's pan out and show you sections. So you'll build a pyramid in the middle. Let's go wide. There we go. You build a pyramid in the middle. You'll go up the temple tracks here. Each step gives you, every time you go up, you get something. There's no not getting stuff for it. There'll be tiles here that if you get there early, you get your choice of those. And these will get the endgame bonus things if you get on them or past. And the top, just like in other games, only one person can get that top thing. Okay. Then over here, this is the Street of the Dead. So it's actually a feature in Teotihuacan, the city, though that's what the later people called it. As you advance along that, you'll get some benefits, and you get to the end. Also, when somebody passes on, you get a bonus here. One of the first ones you might take is getting the extra die, which starts as a 3. Then there are other things. Cocoa, always good. Any step you want. Pay 3 cocoa and get 2 steps, or just take some bonus points. Good at the end of the game. The scoring at the end of each eclipse is actually explained here. You have to pay cocoa for your dice depending on the value. 1 die for 1, 2, and 3. 2 cocoa for 4s and 5s. Then you score based on the pyramid. Here, you score based on the houses you have, times the value that's left exposed. As more houses go out, it becomes less valuable. And you score for the sets of masks that you have in each round. I don't think I want to go into too much detail there. Okay, every time you take a build action, you go up on this track, but this track resets after each eclipse. This track does not, the other tracks do not, they keep going for the game. And you can see the way it works. You can move a single die up to 3 sections. That's your turn. In this one, sort of the starting go area, and the keys are where you can lock down dice to get benefits. Okay, and producing stone, the tech tree, producing wood, build blocks to go on the pyramid, decorate the pyramid, buy buildings to put here to get points, get gold, and back to the beginning. So you go around like that with the pieces. It's expensive when other people occupy spaces you want. You pay a cocoa for each color that's already there, and that includes you. So getting multiple dice onto a place, not each die, each color of die, but getting multiple dice together, which is definitely, you want to do that in many cases, costs you cocoa. You have to collect some cocoa to pay at the end of each eclipse. So cocoa is something you want a lot of and spend. The other resources are spent to do specific actions, building things. So that's the game. I'm looking forward to playing it a bunch more. It's a beautiful game. I hope if you're interested in it at all, this will help you decide whether you want it or not. It's not a simple game. It's not a super fast game, but I like it a lot, and glad I added it to my collection. As I usually say, I'm also involved in the Meeple League, www.meepleleague.com. We're promoting online and real-life competitive play of games. We have a bunch of games we support in tournament play during the year at different events, mostly the local cons, but now even at the World Board Gaming Championship. The GMs for games have decided to include themselves in our rankings. And you can check that out, and I encourage you to do that. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you're having fun gaming, and you can watch for more unboxings. I'm always trying to do a few when I get a new game, in case people are interested. Again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.